Hello, everybody. Welcome back to How I Made, and today we're looking at Tuesday. We've gotten some requests for Tuesday. So, we will be dissecting How I Made Tuesday. This is Tuesday. This was one of my first songs that I ever put out. We did the 5 original for the EP, and Tuesday was actually one of them. But I couldn't decide on a couple of things. Just very subtle things that I was really not loving about the song. So I was like, I'll just put it out later. I'll put out these 5 right now and put Tuesday out a little later. And like not even like the day the EP came out, I figured it out. I figured out my thing, and I'll go through that later. But yeah, so I decided to put Tuesday out in July. It came out on a Tuesday, which was just awesome. But yeah, this is it. Here it is. Pretty rad. Much like Back in Time, the song is touched up on the speed. If you look up here, it says -6. If we change that to 0, holy smokes, it is fast. I made the song that fast and at that pitch, and after, I don't know, maybe working through it for 2 or 3 hours, I was like, this needs to be slower and lower. So I did that. We're going to start with the drums, like always. These are the drums. Ba-bam. I did all these different things to have different sounds. These are just the normal drums. And then I also had another little clap section right here, which was very fun. I love those. Those are awesome. Those kind of like make the song. And then I also have these boinks. I don't know what they're called. They're called boinks. I needed those, dude. I needed those to be in. I don't know why, but whoops, don't move that. Just like a little extra accent on the snare is, I guess, what I really wanted. And here it is, accent on the snare. What more could you want? Nothing, honestly. You couldn't want anything else. But yeah, that's all that really is. The drums are fairly simple. I still wasn't using real drums at this time. So, fake drums it is. Nothing wrong with that, though. Anyways, yeah, that's really it drum-wise. And they cut out for this beautiful solo. And that's where that little triple clap snare comes in. Anyways, let's move on. The guitars. Wow. Not very many guitars, but very shoegazy guitars. I wanted to be as shoegazy as I possibly could. So I had 2 guitars doing almost the exact same thing. I turned the tone all the way down on one of them and used different pickups for both of them. So they both sound very... I don't know. It's just like an interesting mix. And while I was making this, I was like, oh, that's it. And now looking at it, I'm like, I'd do that differently. But that's the beauty of it. That's the best part. We also got the classic solo. All of everything that I've recorded at this time was very harsh. If you're listening to that, you're thinking, wow, dude, that is roasting my ears right now. Like it's very harsh. And I look back at this a year later. I'm making this video a year after it was released. And holy smokes, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But there's nothing wrong with that. It's especially how this works. I do things differently now, and that's not a bad thing. That means we've grown. We also have this last guitar that just does the... I love that sound still. I just did little triads. and you heard that like little mess up. I don't know what I was thinking when I didn't take that out, but it adds a nice little texture. Just a slight ring of an incorrect note, and I was like, yeah, that's the one. It sounded really good with everything else, so I'm not, upset by any means. Those are all the guitars. The bass line on this is actually pretty rad. I'm a fan of the bass line. Did a little slidey thing. I wanted it to be nice and slidey, but really focusing on those seventh notes of both of those chords, the sevenths. That's the good stuff right there. The bass line doesn't change at all. I just looped it over and over and over again. And it worked out great. It worked out just swell, honestly. Arguably the best part of this song are the synths. These beautiful, beautiful synth parts. I was super into stereo panning stuff. I don't know why. It doesn't really make much of a difference. It does, but it doesn't at the same time. But these are the synths. All together. Boy, do they sound great. So, we'll start with that lead. That little lead saw. Oh, look, it says lead saw. This was almost a Logic preset. I did change some things around. I put some ensemble on it. I put some chorus on it. But Massive Saws is the name of the preset. I did change a couple of things, but for the most part, it was doing its thing. Just beautiful. And I did the same saw for the verse, the second verse, and I just mirrored the vocal line. Not feeling okay, sitting. And, it meshed. It did its job. That one was sweet. I got some pads, of course. Life is swell. Especially with the swell of a pad. Ooh. And I also had this analog pad. This is Analog Waves and Classic Analog Pad. They work together so well. Ooh. I also have this Dream Signs pad. This is one I only used in the choruses. Sounds like a little ghost. Ah, so amazing. I like that one a lot. I've used it maybe too many times. But all together, they do sound quite majestic. And you can hear that little boink if you listen real close. So good. So good. Okay, let's get into the vocals. The most complex part about this whole project was the vocals. I was not good at making vocals at all when I made this song. And to be honest, I sucked at singing too. It just wasn't great. And the whole first EP, I wasn't doing super swag. I didn't know how to use auto-tune yet. It was just a very process. It was very tricky to figure out. But I have a lot of vocals because I couldn't figure out how to make a good vocal chain. It was very difficult for me to make a good vocal chain. So Logic has this preset called Telephone Vocal, which is the one I used for the leads. I did 2 leads, left and right, which is a silly idea. I know what I'd do now. But
sleeping alone, just like I used to.
Very dry. Very, very dry. There is no reverb on that at all.
You won't touch my phone. So
Holy smokes. No reverb. Man, they're dry. They're very dry. But the rad part about it is they're dry, and that's kind of like a cool thing. Not a lot of songs nowadays have just very dry vocals. Not that they need them, but it had them, so that's cool. These 4 falsettos are in the intros and the choruses. These ones do have some a little bit of delay and reverb bust throughout those, and they sound all right. They do their job. I say that a lot, but they're also very dry as well. I would have definitely reverbed those up had I had the knowledge I have now. I did some ad-libs, which I haven't done. I put some good old tape delay on that. Sweet. And those...
find a little more time.
Those are... very, very dry. Ooh, man. I feel like I'm making a brisket right now, you know? But ad-libs are cool, and especially along with everything else. I'll turn on all this jazz. And the ad-libs, of course.
Wishing that I could find a little more time. Find a little more time. Waiting around.
So, that was the old ad-lib in its full action. It's very, very nice to recognize it when you're listening to the song. Almost last but not least, I did a whole range of the vocals, but an octave lower.
For things to change, and I'm feeling like I
And you can hear the crabby auto-tune that I put on there.
am worth this, but I'm fine wasting away.
Yeah, not swell. But it adds some texture.
Way again, another Tuesday.
Yeah, rough. I was very off pitch for some of those. It's a little embarrassing, but the song's out and it's too late. Last 2 are these tiny little chorus harmonies that I did not bother to blend in at all. I was very inexperienced at this time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, just all that together. You can hear the very harsh cuts that I didn't know how to blend out at the time. I really rushed into making music, and it's out, and it's at like 15,000 streams at the time of this recording. Probably, actually, I think it's closer to 18. But people listen to it, so, you know, sometimes the imperfections are what make things perfect, and that's just phenomenal. Anyways, that's the whole song. That's it. Looks like a lot, kind of is a lot, isn't really a lot. It's a whole lot of inefficiency is what I like to think of it as. Everything could have been done a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer, but that's what makes this so rad, is that this song is out, and me looking back on it is like, wow, I was a silly, stupid kid a year ago. But that's totally fine, because holy smokes, I've gotten so much better since then. I'm twice as efficient. Oh, and this is my favorite part of the whole song. When I play this live, everyone playing it with me, the band hates it. This little section of 3/4. 2, 3, 1. So, that was fun. I tossed that in because I wanted to be a little music theory nerd because I was in music school at the time. Anyways, yeah, that's the song. If you guys like this video and all the other ones, comment what I should do next. I love doing this stuff. It's always fun. All right, bye.